Hey, I'm Craig, and today for the Surfboard Guide, we're going to check out the Cab Sav by Blair of Joistik Surfboards. So the Cab Sav they'll be riding is a 5.3 and it comes in at 5.3 by 23/4 by 2 3/8 and exactly 31.7 litres. So the Cab Sav is possibly the world's best tiny wave groveler. So a while ago we checked out the Cab Sav 2, which is a slightly longer and stretched out version of the Cab Sav, and this is the original. So a lot of people kind of hit us up and spoke about the board. Those that have it absolutely love it. There aren't many boards except for like a 10-foot Malibu that are going to get you out in waves, you know, under knee high, and this is one of them. So looking over the Cab Sav, it's got a really flat rocker. Like this board is extremely flat. Through the tail, there's almost no lift without the V, and there's just a bit of lift in the front, a bit of rocker in the nose, just to keep you out of the water. Flipping it over, there's just some really gentle concave. I think it's a single that kind of holds the volume in so it doesn't thin out too much. But then it comes to a deep barrel double concave that comes through the fins. This actually gets quite deep. That would just kind of jet water through. And it's got a really kind of light V off the tail just to give it some responsiveness, because that's a pretty wide tail. And without that V, you probably wouldn't be able to turn it. Also on the Cab Sav, it has not a kind of a flat deck. It almost feels like the deck is scooped out, only slow lightly. So it's flat deck, and then it also has this rail that just drops away. If you kept all this volume, so this would be 2 3/8, only about an inch out from the rail. If you kept all that volume in the rail, you're gonna have a really full rail, but it just drops away at the edge. I don't know if you can see that on the camera there, but yeah, it's so flat, almost feels scooped, and then it just drops away to a nice sharper rail that'll keep it a little bit responsive and not, you know, 2 3/8 right on the rail. So I've been surfing the Cab Sav for a while now. I got the board a few months ago. And it has been absolutely epic. There aren't many boards out there that are going to keep you surfing when waves are, you know, knee high or under. Like I said, besides maybe a 10-foot Mal. But this is one of them. When I actually got it, we had a little right wedge. It sits in, you know, local beach where I surf, little wedge next to the pool. And it had a perfect little bank, but a few days were only in like the, you know, the knee-high range. And at 90 kilos plus, I'm generally not having a lot of fun in those kind of waves. But I just grabbed this and I was frothing to ride it, and had some of my most fun surfs across the summer on this tiny little board in some of the world's tiniest waves. What actually shocked me was the volume's not huge. So, you know, I normally ride 29.5 to 30 litres on my shortboards. This is 31.7. So, you know, say 2 litres more than my shortboards. It will get into waves pretty well. You know, a little bit extra volume, it will paddle quite well. Nothing crazy. But how it would skate and continue to move across really flat water and dead sections was absolutely amazing. And I think that's probably due to this surface area in this tail. So as you can see, this is a pretty massive tail. And I've said it in a lot of boards we've checked out before, when we have, you know, volume that sits under your back foot, but also width is something I really enjoy. I don't ride a lot of volume for my weight, and I feel like having that foam under your back foot is a real gas pedal. And this thing has the ultimate gas pedal that just kind of keeps going. So that's something I've absolutely loved. Another thing was, so you'd get across sections and it would have a lot of pace and flow, and you'd make it across flat sections. But the ability the board had to actually turn through those flat sections, you keep moving. So you weren't just pumping, trying to connect, you know, bits of nothing. You were actually turning through these sections. So you have, you know, that thickness and that volume under your back foot, which is a bit of a gas pedal, but that width. So your heels weren't going to catch through turns, and you'd keep moving and gliding quite nicely across these really flat sections and just link up waves from this kind of wedge that sat next to the pool where I live. It would go all the way through to a shore break, and you just have an absolute blast. You know, it's great to have a board. I'm not really a Malibu riding type of guy. I don't really enjoy it that much, but sometimes there's not much that's going to keep you in the water when the waves are, you know, pretty small. And depending on your lives, some areas can go through, you know, months of really, really marginal surf. So this is something that's going to keep you in the water and keep small waves, you know, after having that surf in some kind of 1 foot wedges, I was almost hanging out for it to be 1 foot for the whole week. So I could just keep ripping on this little board. In this board, I've rode a few different sets of fins. I must say, it's a quad. You've got to set up here for thruster, and if you're like a die-hard thruster guy, throw in your favourite thruster set, you know, some AM2s or whatever, and I'm sure it'll go absolutely epic. But I stuck with some quads. So I tried the Raster quads by Futures, and they felt okay. They felt a little bit soft. And I had these. These are the EA quads, and they're a control series fin. So they're not a speed generating fin. They're generally not for small waves. They're from the control series fin. I actually normally ride this in like a gun or a step up board, but I just want to try it because the Rasters felt a little bit soft and these felt absolutely spot on. A guy down the beach one morning I was going for an early saw that I was riding these fins in the board and he thought I was tripping. But you know, the board had so much pace and so much speed that I wanted something that just moved through the water really nicely and it was easy to surf. And these things were absolutely spot on. The volume of the Cab Sav is 31.7 litres, so that sits around 2 litres above my general shortboards, and that felt spot on. I think with the Cab Sav you could kind of really go anywhere with the volume. You're going to want it for marginal, tiny waves, so you're going to want more volume than you have in your general shortboards, so I'd say add at least 1 to 2 litres. But if you're a real beginner surfer, you know, you can add 5-6 litres, kind of, you know, go up a bit higher in this thing. It's still going to be just really easy. It's so stable to surf, and it's going to get you into some really small and average waves so easily. You can kind of go anywhere with the volume, but I would say definitely add a couple of litres to your general shortboard so you get the maximum enjoyment out of this small wave machine. Look, overall, I've absolutely loved the Cab Sav. It's kept me surfing in some really average conditions. Actually, it's kept me keen for waves to be in the knee-high range because I've just loved the way it's moved across really small and really average waves. Nick Blair makes some epic boards on Sydney's northern beaches and hope you get a chance to check one out. Thanks so much for watching.